Imagine how your life would be without time. Or do it. The next day you will wake up, don't use the clock at all. The only thing you will have to tell time is the sun's position. Meanings like boiling the eggs for 8 minutes, or my work starting at 9 do not exist. In this modern era, the world cannot exist without time, but how did we end up here? In 723, 8th century, was the year when the very first mechanical clock was invented. It was invented by a Chinese mathematician, philosopher, and astronomer known as Xing, and it started distributing to Europe around the 14th century. However, they had really limited capabilities. Each clock could lose about 30 minutes a day, and the only way to correct it is by manually changing it according to the position of the sun. As a result, different towns had different times, but this was not a big problem back then. For the past 1,000 years, people used to sleep with the sun. Expressions, like "we will meet at 4 o'clock at this place," was just in existence. They said expressions like, "I will come in a cow milking." In 1583, perception of time will change forever. A young 20-year-old was observing a lamp swinging from a cathedral ceiling. Believe it or not, was the first scientist to observe how long it took any object suspended from a rope or chain, a pendulum, to swing back and forth. He used his heartbeat to measure the time. He observed that no matter how big the swings were, as in when the lamp was first swung, to how small the swings were as the lamp returned to a standstill, the time it took for each swing to complete was exactly the same. He had discovered the law of the pendulum, which gained the young scientist considerable notoriety in the academic world. But after that, nothing. Unfortunately, this person was Galileo, and after that, everyone knows Galileo deals with astronomy. This concept remains buried for 60 years. And the answer comes from the shippings. Europe needed to trade with India and China. Seamen could easily calculate latitude by calculating the position of the sun, but for the longitude, they needed to know the exact time of departure and arrival. Galileo, with 3 extramarital affairs, and in depths, he realizes the profitability of this. In deep aging and almost blind, he stopped astronomy and focused on creating the first clock, which eventually, at 1650, Christian Huygens created the first pocket watch. In hospitals, doctors can use this to count the patient's heart rate, and scientists can do their experiments with more accuracy, and the longitude problem has been solved, something that led to the growth of global trade. However, clocks were still affordable only to rich people. Aaron Dennison was the first to achieve making the pocket watch affordable for everyone. Back then, pocket watches were created separately. He found the solution to this problem by creating each component of the clock separately in a factory, and then just combining them. By doing that, he also made the repair cost low, since all the components can be exchanged. In 1857, William Ellery went on the market with a price of $13 and sold thousands of pieces. The pocket watch was the first affordable high-tech gadget of all time. If YouTubers existed back then, they would do unboxing to this pocket watch. Next time you will arrange a date, appreciate how this is possible thanks to thousands of watches that can tell the time precisely everywhere. This was the invention of timekeeping. I hope you got an idea about what it is, and I'll be glad to read your comments and questions. If you liked the video, you may subscribe to see more like this one. And of course, we'll meet again on our next journey.